Sometimes you just want a little bit of a pizza for yourself. So today, we're going to cook a personal chicken Alfredo pizza. I'll show you how I'm going to do it. Alright, so to make our personal pan pizza here, we're going to take half a cup of warm water. It needs to be warm. And then I have a teaspoon of yeast and half a teaspoon of sugar and half a teaspoon of salt. I'm going to pour into the water. I'm going to kind of give that a little stir. I have half a cup of flour. I'm going to mix that in. I'm going to add 1 tablespoon of oil. I'm going to give this a really good mixing. Kind of scrape it down a little bit. And now I'm going to start adding a little bit of flour at a time. So this is a half cup, so I'm going to put about a quarter of a cup. I'm going to mix that in. Now I'm going to go ahead and put the rest of that flour in. Now I'm going to sprinkle a little bit more. And basically I'm just adding a little bit at a time. And we are just about there to where we start forming a ball. But it's still sticky. As you can see, it's wanting to stick to the spatula. So we'll sprinkle a little bit more in. Wet. And all I'm doing is I'm just pulling it and pulling it in and then pushing it down. And I'm just going to add a little bit of flour at a time until it's no longer wanting to just stick to everything. We're just going to keep working it. As you can see now, it's getting there. But as I roll this around, it's getting a little sticky again. So I'll sprinkle a little bit more flour. And at this point, I'm going to clean my bowl out, and then we're going to let this thing rise. All right, now that my bowl's clean, I'm going to put just a little bit of oil in the bottom of here. And then I'll take my dough here, and I'll coat it. I'll flip it. And how I normally rise my dough is I will preheat my oven for about 30 seconds to a minute, just to get it warm. And then I will set it in there and let it rise in the oven. And we're going to let this rise for an hour, and then we'll be back. All right, so it's been an hour. And we're just going to kind of ball this up a little bit. Throw a little flour down. We're just going to work this in a little bit. All right. We'll add just a touch of oil back in our pan here, in our bowl. Just a very, very little bit. Just enough to wet that top. And from here, we're just going to cover it. We're going to start preheating our oven. I'm going to preheat it as high as it'll go. And what I'm going to use is a cast iron. We're going to pour a little oil in it. Try to roll that around. We're going to preheat the cast iron inside the oven. And we're going to let it preheat for about 30-40 minutes. And then we'll start getting ready for cooking. All right, we're going to start getting our toppings together here. I've preheated this pan, and I've got half an onion that I have cut up. I'm just going to throw this in here. And I'm just going to start cooking this onion up. I'm not going to fully cook this. I just want to get it started cooking. And it'll finish cooking as we're cooking our pizza. I'm using about 2 tablespoons of butter. I'll put a little bit of salt and pepper on this. Now, I have about half a cup, 3/4 of a cup of chicken I've already cooked. All I did is I cooked a leg quarter. I baked it at 350 degrees for an hour, and I just deboned it. Or, I mean, to make it simpler, you could just use some canned chicken for this. That's That's as long as I want to cook the onions, so I'm going to go ahead and take them out. But I want to try to leave all that butter in. All right, now to our butter, we're going to start making our Alfredo sauce. I'm going to add a pretty decent sized tablespoon of flour. And I'm just going to mix that in really good. And I'm going to cook this flour. I'm going to keep it moving. We're going to cook it for about 2 minutes. All right, I'm going to add about a quarter cup of water to this. Give that a really good mixing. I'm going to add half a tablespoon of beef bouillon. I'm going to turn my heat down low. I'm going to add about half a cup of milk. Now, if anybody's ever made gravy before, essentially this is what we're doing right this second. It's kind of making like a gravy. You're going to have to stir it really, really good and keep it moving to make it smooth. And what I'm doing right here is I'm just smashing down. I want to make sure there's no lumps. Everything's mixed in really, really good. I'm going to add a big handful of Parmesan cheese. At this point, we just need it all melted together. And I'm going to add about a teaspoon of Italian seasoning. And this step's optional, but I'm going to add some red pepper flakes. All right, I'm going to take that off the heat. We'll get our pizza together. I'm going to give our dough one more light bit of flour. I'll work it in. At this point, I'm going to start stretching it out to make our pizza. I'm going to take some cornmeal, put it on my pizza peel here. I'm gonna put my Alfredo sauce in. I'm gonna put in my onions, my chicken. I'll put a little bit of mozzarella on top. I'm just gonna kind of roll this edge in. All right. Now I'm gonna carefully put it in my pan. We'll cook that for about 10 minutes. Then we'll check it then. All right, the moment we've been waiting for. Now, after 10 minutes, I checked it, decided it needed about 3 more minutes. So there's that. And I'll be honest with you, this is looking a lot better than I thought it would. Just a little hot. Holy Lord, look at there. Look at the bottom on this one. Whoa. I cannot believe I just did that. Oh, my toppings came out. Listen to that crunch. My Well, it definitely came out it came out a little messy. Well, let's give this a try and see what it tastes like. Yep, it's definitely crunchy on the bottom. Came out pretty good. I'm not a huge Parmesan Alfredo sauce person. Probably could use a little bit more milk, thin it out a little bit, put a little bit less sauce on the pizza itself. But overall, this is pretty good. You might have to get your own on this one. Hey, I appreciate y'all watching, and we'll see you next week.